Welcome to the National Women's Fitness Academy podcast. We're here to talk about women's health, female hormones, body image, and all things health and fitness.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Women's Fitness Academy podcast. I am one of your hosts. My name is Ellen. I am a female empowerment coach and I specialize in binge eating, body image, confidence. You guys know this by now. You probably, if you listen to this, I'm assuming that you've listened to some of my other episodes as well. I'm also an educator for Women's Fitness Academy, and hopefully you guys are coming to Bali in July. And if you are, I will see you then. I'm very, very excited for that. Today, I'm here with someone who's not in the fitness industry, which I'm super excited about. You know, I like to branch out and interview loads of different people. Her name is Jess. She is a dating coach. You might know her from Instagram as the Boy Detox.
That's me.
Jess, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, it's so good. And like we've been talking about this for ages. I feel like I messaged you on Instagram probably 2 months ago and was like, we need to do a podcast. And then I went to Sydney and then you came to Bali.
Yep.
And then we've just been really busy doing other stuff. That's not been podcasting.
That's right. That is very correct.
Yeah, especially you. I feel like you every week she's like, oh my God, this has happened. It's like, how does all this crazy stuff happen to you? It's so funny. Yeah. So for the listeners who don't know you, who are you? Where are you from? Tell us.
My name is Jess Matthews, aka the Boy Detox. I'm a writer and a dating and relationship coach. For a long time, I was really just a writer. I actually started my writing career in music reviewing. And then after a little while, I decided that I wanted to write about dating, love, sex, relationships, because I'm really fascinated about human connection. And then after that, I wrote a book. It's still in my Google Drive, but I'm hoping that we'll push it out this year. And I started to coach after I got the qualifications.
Amazing.
And I'm from Sydney, Australia, but now living in Bali.
Yes, everyone comes here because it is the best.
Yeah.
So I've always been curious about this. Where's this name coming from? The Boy Detox. Like, it's so random.
Yeah, it's a good question. So what I spoke about just before was when I kind of started writing about dating and relationships, must have been like early 20s, and I was a bartender, I was a music reviewer, and I was about to make the transition into writing about dating, and I was doing what every girl in their early 20s should do, and just like sampling the many different ice cream flavors of dating. I was traveling, I was working in bars, I was meeting a whole lot of different guys, and at one point I met a guy, and he is what we would now call a fuckboy, but I didn't know back then. So he kind of made me think that he really liked me, and then pulled the rug out from underneath me, and I was really hurt by this. And it was someone that I probably shouldn't necessarily have been hurt by. But after that experience, it led me to like taking a really long, hard look at myself and realizing that I was too obsessed with men and boys and what they thought of me, and I didn't really know who I was or what I wanted or where I was going. So I decided to take a month off men and write about it along the way, and that's what the Boy Detox is. So it's like, so the book is broken up into 4 weeks where you detox from men.
So that's what the book is about, having
that's
a detox.
The book, yeah.
Oh, amazing. Oh my God, I think I need to read that book.
Yeah. And I mean, the idea is, obviously, I loved men then. I still love men. I'm fascinated by them. I have a lot of male friends. I come from like a very male-dominated family. So I've always been comfortable around men. But the idea of the book isn't just to be like, men are trash, get lost. The idea is to just detach a little bit and disconnect and get back to yourself and valuing yourself and knowing who you are and what you want.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's so common, like amongst girls, it's like all you want in life is like to find the one. And it's like, you basically just go like from one fuckboy really to another, because it's like so many people really struggle to be alone.
Yeah, and I was very guilty of doing that.
Oh God, same. Like there's only like recently that I've started kind of like, you know what, I'm actually okay, like on my own, and you know, learning to really just love yourself and give yourself that connection and love that you're looking for from a partner.
Yeah. So the premise of the Boy Detox is about that, coming back to self-love and valuing yourself and understanding that it's okay to be alone and you're fine being independent. But then, you know, working out also what you do want from relationships and what you will accept from dating and from men or from the opposite sex, because men can also read the book.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So how does someone work out, I guess, what they want from a relationship?
Well, I think what is super important is, and I probably go back to this a lot, and it's a little bit probably boring, but because there's no like really quick answer, but the most important thing is that you have to work out who you are first. And from having a really good understanding of who you are and what drives you, what your values are, what your intrinsic motivators are, then you can work out the right type of person that will match and will complement your values and your lifestyle and the way you look at the world. But it's not until you really know who you are and go through a bit of life and have, you know, all these kind of different experiences that you can work out who is going to be suited to you.
Yeah, oh God, I totally agree with that. And I think that like after I broke up with my ex, I kind of went through this phase of like, I didn't know at all what I wanted. I just knew I didn't want what he was.
Yeah.
And it was just like basically just try, like you said, trying every flavor. It's like, is this for me? Is this for me? And then it just kind of became, and I think I have this conversation a lot with my girlfriends. It's like you kind of start pleasing them more, and you kind of forget like what's actually important to me.
Yes.
And it's like he wants to do that, he wants to do this, he likes this thing, and then they're like, oh, okay, well, I'll just adapt and like become this like chameleon and just try and like match into your world, when you should really just be like, he should fit into your world. Like if he doesn't, then fuck off.
I mean, women, bless us, we have a tendency to adapt and chameleon to men when we really like them, because we want love and we want to be loved, and we kind of chase love a little bit more than men naturally. So we do this thing where we like adapt around men, and we do drop our values quite quickly, whereas men tend to be much more kind of single-minded and driven, and a little bit more tunnel visioned. They don't really bend around for love as much as we do.
Yeah, and also something that I struggle with, not so much now, but definitely have, is like I would constantly think of the guy like all day and be like, why has he not texted me? Why? Like, what's going on? Like, why is he not thinking about me as much as I'm thinking about him? But now it's like, obviously I'm in a much better place now. But I like with girlfriends, it's so much of that. You talk so much about it. It's like, oh, why has he not texted me now? Why has he not sent me a good morning message? Why didn't he reply to this story asking how my gym was? Because like, maybe it's just like a instinct for us girls to be like, or maybe it's like an attachment issue. I don't know.
I am really only starting to work this out I've kind of started to work it out in the last 2 years, but I actually just think men are better at like prioritizing and having this like tunnel vision. You know, if they're working on their career, if they're working on opening a restaurant or whatever it is, they have tunnel vision and they don't necessarily like pick up all the other things that are going on around them. Whereas women, we can multitask better. So we can do our stuff, but we also can pay attention to other things and to men. But because we still have this intrinsic motivator of love, we're more likely to kind of flake a little bit on our own priorities, whereas men, they're just locked in.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
And how, you know, how
I'm
people...
jealous of men for being able to do that, honestly.
Well, you know how people always say that, like, oh, guys can only do one thing at a time, and girls always, like, girls can, like, cook, look after a baby, like, watch TV, like, listen to a podcast.
Yep, 100%.
And that makes so much sense, actually, when you explain it like that, because, yeah, it's very true. It is very true.
I always make this joke with my girlfriends saying, like, men trying to multitask is like a rat going through the garbage that is on fire trying to look for their calendar. Whereas women we can just do things all at once, but guys they just don't have that ability.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a big part of it, and that's why our minds can wander and be like, I wonder what he's doing, whereas they're probably just doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And they don't mean any harm by it. They're just doing their shit.
Yeah. And they'll just text you when they think of you instead of us girls who's like, oh, should I text him now? Oh, no, I'll wait like 10 minutes. And then maybe later I'll wait 5 minutes until I open his message so he doesn't think I'm too keen. And,
yeah, exactly.
The games, especially like early 20s, it was all about that. Like, no, you have to wait like this many minutes until you open the message. And then you have to wait like this long. If he took this long, you have to wait double. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. I'm too impatient for that. But yeah.
Oh,
I get
same. Like, I stopped it so long ago, but it's still... Like, I have a lot of friends who are in the early 20s, and then when they talk about this stuff, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that comes from when you work out who you are and what you want, you just do what you want, and whoever isn't for you will drop away.
Yeah, for sure.
And there is rejection and there's hurt, but you get through it a lot quicker.
Yeah, definitely. You explained this thing about anxiety to me the other day. Do you remember it?
Were we talking about chemistry versus...
Yeah, how like when someone pulls away, you get anxiety and you think of that as a connection.
Yeah, okay, so I'll try and explain this from the start. Humans, I mean, in dating, we have this idea of chemistry, and everyone loves chemistry because chemistry feels really good. And chemistry is what we feel when we've met somebody and there's heightened emotions and emotional attachment and a little bit of obsession, and you can't wait to see them. Like, you get excited when you get a text from them. But chemistry is actually, the brain and the body experiences chemistry in the same way as it does anxiety. So really what is happening is your body's experiencing anxiety, but the brain is labeling it chemistry. So when somebody pulls away from us, we're naturally kind of starting to feel this type of anxiety because it triggers us, and it depends on who you are as a person, but it can trigger you to be anxious. But again, because we can't label it, we call it chemistry. So that's the kind of huge difference, or that's the kind of huge similarity, and the way that we get anxiety and chemistry wrong. But when you've developed an attachment with somebody, it gets muddier.
Yeah, so hear that, girls. If you go on a date with someone and you're like, I don't really like him, and then he doesn't message you, you don't actually like him.
Yeah.
It's just anxiety.
Exactly. And that anxiety actually causes us to feel this heightened sense of attachment because we think it's chemistry. We think we really like them. And they're pulling away, and we are trying to control the external narrative by reaching out to them, or by like hoping that he will reach out to us. But it's really just this like sense of false attachment, really.
Yeah, I remember when the first time you said that to me, and I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense, because there's been so many times that I've been on a date with someone and I'm like, I don't know, like, he's nice, but I just don't feel it. And then I won't hear from them. And then it's like, oh my God, I really, like, why is he not texting me? Like, when are we actually going to catch up? Like, why did he not message me back? Yeah. And it's like, well, hang on. Like, 2 days ago, you didn't even really like him. And now you, like, think that he's the love of your life. Like, what's going on?
This is actually a big penny drop moment that I've had in Bali as well, because some men, I don't know if they know that they're doing it, but a lot of the time when we're in the early stages of dating, men create a false sense of intimacy through this, like, sort of false attachment, I would say. So what I mean by a false sense of intimacy is that, like, the good morning text, the how was your workout, the like the little tiny things that we see in dates that we then hold on to, and we're like, well, he's done this, this, and this, so we think it's kind of okay to get attached. And then when he stops doing those things, we get confused because we're like, well, he was chasing me before, but now he's not. But all that's really happened is he's kind of led you on with these false sense of, like, these little tokens of false sense of intimacy, and then stop doing them, and you're confused.
Why do you think guys do that?
Well, I mean, I don't want to I don't want
Obviously
to throw
she's
them
not a
under the
dude,
bus.
so
I don't want to throw them under the bus, but I think guys know that men are getting smarter and smarter, and they know.
I fucking hope so.
They know that they have to. I mean, they are driven by the chase and the challenge, so they know that they have to do certain things to get our interest and to get us to go on a date or to have sex. So they know that there's kind of these little things that they can do that will earn them points that will get us to be attracted to them or form a sense of attachment.
Do you think this has anything to do? This is actually one of the listener questions about like when you have sex with them. It
can. So the problem with me answering this question is I truly believe that you should have sex when you want to.
Yeah.
And when it feels right for you, do it. However, I will say that there is reason to, if you want to have a connection with someone that has longevity to it, then there is more reasoning to wait for a little bit, because over time you can get a sense with like a more rational perspective, which is what we struggle with as women. But with a more rational perspective, you can get a sense of whether this guy is falsely leading you on or if they're actually truly focused on you and their intention is to have something longer with you. And the thing is, like, you can't get a sense of who someone is in one date, in 2 dates. At the end of the 3rd date, it might start to drop in because you can start to match their words and actions. But it takes us a long time to really know who somebody is, how they move, like how they see the world. So if you're wanting to have a longer connection, then it can help to not have sex for a little bit longer, just so that you can see who the man is. If you don't care, by all means, go for it.
Yeah, it's such an interesting conversation. And I put up a poll about this the other day on my Instagram, and like 90% of people were like, no, it doesn't matter. But I listened to podcasts where they've said that you should wait, just like you said, exactly for that reason.
Yep.
And like I can see both sides of it.
Yeah, me too.
Like, you know, sometimes you just with someone and you're just like, oh, we just have so much chemistry. Like I just want to have sex with him.
Yeah.
And then like I've definitely been in a situation where it's like, maybe I should have waited because like maybe I gave it, like I don't want to say gave it to him too quickly because it was mutual. Like obviously I still wanted it. Like I would never do it if I didn't want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes I think like what would have happened if I actually made a proper connection instead of just like jumping to it straight away.
I think if you're finding yourself having that thought, what maybe I should have waited, like more than twice, like if you're having that thought repeatedly, then see what happens if you don't have sex earlier than maybe you think you should have. I mean, that's the only thing that you can do is like change your behavior around it. And, you know, like it's not guaranteed that if you wait for 3-4 dates to have sex with a guy that he's going to be more attached to you. But then you'll be more satisfied that you've given it a red hot nudge.
Yeah.
And you won't be doubting yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's like there was one guy that I was seeing here in Bali, and I did wait like a bit longer than I usually do for that exact reason. Because I said to him, I don't want this to just be like sleeping around. Yeah. He's like, no. And then we finally did it, and then turns out, he just wanted like friends with benefits. Yeah. He just wasn't open to me about what he wanted. He basically said, he said to me that he wanted something more, and then it actually wasn't like that.
Yeah, because I mean that's the other thing. If a guy just wants to sleep with you, he'll go on 5 dates.
Yeah, he will exactly.
Yeah. So do it when you feel right about it, regardless of the outcome.
Yeah, for sure.
And like I always kind of think that context plays a big role. You know, if I meet somebody when I'm out one night and I think, they're hot, but I don't really care about seeing them again, then I will go ahead and have sex with them because I don't care about the outcome. Yeah. But if I meet somebody, you know, in a coffee shop or the gym or whatever, and I have the chance to get to know them and I possibly want to explore a connection, whether that's friendship or a romantic connection, then, you know, I kind of see how it plays out a bit more naturally.
Yeah, for sure. But it's also like you kind of want to try before you buy.
100%.
Like,
course.
I wouldn't wanna. That's my other thing. I'm like, because I have done the whole. I think I waited like 5 or 6 days with one guy because I really like. I felt we had a good connection, and I was like, no, take it easy. And then we ended up sleeping together, and it was just awful. Like, he had the smallest. I'm sorry if this offends anyone, but he had like the smallest dick I've ever seen in my life. And for me, sex is so important. I was like, I'm sorry, but like, doesn't matter how good you are at going down on me. Like, it's not gonna work for me.
Yeah.
And it was like an instant turn off for me.
Yeah.
Straight away.
And did you feel in that situation that you just wasted your time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, great. Now I've like wasted my time. I wasted his time as well.
Yeah.
And now I have to let someone down as well. Like, he was still really like into wanting to see me, and I was like, I'm sorry, but like, maybe this sounds super shallow. And to be completely honest, I probably wasn't in the best headspace at the time.
Yeah.
So that if this happened now, like this was like 5 years ago or 4 years ago. If this happened now, maybe I would have had different reaction. But that particular moment, like that dating him, has just like, I wouldn't say scarred me, but it's just like something I have in the back of my mind with every guy that I date now. I'm like, don't want that to be repeated.
Yeah. I mean, sex can get better too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think probably like for the most part, the first time you have sex with somebody isn't the best.
Yeah.
It's not the best, but it gets better over time. So
yeah, you have to remember that. I have to remember that.
If you have bad sex once, you got to be like, do I like them enough to go and give it another nudge?
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. I think that particular situation was just so small. Like,
yeah, fair enough.
I just, yeah. Anyway, sorry if that offends anyone. But it was just my own personal preference.
Yeah.
But you said something else about, which this was another listener question about, you said that if you meet someone in a coffee shop or something, and I know that you're very good at like walking up to people and like talking to them even when you're not drinking. Like, you posted something the other day or like a few weeks ago about like, oh, like I was at the beach and I saw this guy and he was reading a book, and that would have been like my perfect opportunity to walk up to him, and you didn't. But yeah, someone asked about like, how the hell do you get the confidence, and like, what do you say to people when you just walk up to someone?
Oh, plot twist. I'm actually terrible at this, but I'm classic introvert. So even though it might seem I'm very extroverted, I do struggle with approaching new people.
Yeah.
And being out in public sometimes. But I believe that this is just a skill that you learn, and it's something that as you do it again and again and again, it's like a muscle. It's like going to the gym or being creative. Like, you get better and better at it.
Of course. I
would say to start small and try and give people that you know, or like your barista or somebody at the gym, a compliment, because getting into that kind of rhythm will help you be more open and more able to approach people that you don't know. Kind of randomly. So it kind of starts to build the muscle. But I know what you're talking about with the guy at the beach with the book. I would say that there's just some opportunities in life that when you're observant, you realize that there's an opening. Like, this guy was cute. He was sitting at the beach at like a sunset bar. He was reading by himself. There is no better like opening to go and talk to somebody. He's, and in that case, all I needed to say was, what are you reading?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So.
And it's also very easy for him to be like, either I'm interested, let's talk about the book, or no, go away. Like,
shut it down.
Reading.
Yeah. And I think that's the other thing is when you do go and approach new people, there are going to be times where they just shut you down. This happens to me all the time. Yeah. And I mean, even just like recently, people will say, my name is da-da-da, but then you can tell from their body language that they're not interested. So you're like, okay, bye. Enjoy your night, you know. So you got to get used to that sort of rejection on a level. And the more you do that, the easier it becomes, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I've read somewhere, I can't remember where I read this or heard this in a podcast, that like, it was like that masculine men are really, like, they're not afraid of rejection or something like that. And I can't remember, I'm completely butchering this, but anyway, yes, you can't be afraid of rejection, and it's so true. Like, the more you do it, the easier it definitely gets. Like, I'm quite good at doing it when I've had a couple of drinks.
Yeah, me too.
So maybe if you wanting to do that, like start off with doing it when you have had some liquid courage.
Yeah. And I'd say like choose something about them. I mean, here it's quite easy because you can
here it's so easy.
You can just look at a guy and be like, oh, my friend and I were trying to work out if you're from Australia or if you're from the UK.
Yeah.
There's your opening.
Literally, like, where are you from?
Yeah, or I like your shoes. Where are they from?
Yeah.
Like it's quite, just pick something about them and go and ask them about it.
Yeah, mine is, I recognize you from somewhere.
Yes, that's a great one. Or do you have a twin? I've forgotten that one. That's amazing.
That. Yeah. One of my best friends here now, the first time I talked to him, I actually tried to chat him up. He was at Revolver, actually.
Yeah.
And he was sitting there drinking his iced coffee, and I was like, oh, God, he's so fit. And I was like, so great, like, I recognized you from somewhere. Like, do you go to, like, Wanderlust? And he was like, no, or maybe it's just from here or something. And then we started chatting, and then it turns out we were just completely, like, it's not any kind of chemistry at all. This is friends.
Yeah.
And yeah, now he's like one of my best friends.
Yeah, it's perfect. I mean, ask them to borrow something. Like, do you have a pen or do you have a lighter or something like that?
Or like, do you know what time it is?
Yeah, time. Easy.
Anything.
Those things, yeah, just like small things that don't put too much pressure on it.
Yeah, it is fucking scary. Like, oh, but also I feel like, even if you get rejected, like, I would rather have the rejection than leave the coffee shop and be like, I should have talked to that guy. Like, because you never know what's gonna happen. Like, could turn into something romantically, could turn into just a friend, or it could just be like that you just did something that's freaking scary and you showed yourself that you could actually do it.
Yeah, exactly. And the more you like see it like a challenge. I think like last week I was out at Miss Fish and I was in a mood. I think I got rejected 5 times in a row, but you just kind of like,
Yeah, exactly.
Away you go.
It's not personal. Just wipe it off onto the next one.
Yeah.
Like, you see some guys, like, there's a guy at the gym. I'm not going to say his name, but there's a guy at the gym. He literally is like a bee from flowers. He's like, go talk to that girl, 5 minutes. Go talk to that girl, 5 minutes. Go talk to that girl.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm sure he gets rejected all the time. But eventually someone will say yes, and then, good on him.
I think also really important to remember is that guys quite like being approached by women because I think they have to do all the work. So when a woman approaches them, they're like pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's every single guy friend that I have says that. They're like, I would love for a girl to finally come up to me and like,
it's a compliment.
Never happens. Yeah, for sure. But I guess it's hard because like as females, we like not all of us, of course. Like I want at least a guy who like takes charge and like does all that. So I guess it's like, I mean, they could have not seen you. So then, if you take the first step, they might take over and be the actual like masculine energy in the relationship.
Yeah, men do get scared as well.
Yeah, of course. We forget that. It's
and
like
they're unsure. They're unsure. They don't want to be kind of predatorial or anything.
Yeah, especially now with everything that's going on and people like just putting everyone on social media. Oh, he's a predator. And
I would say if you do see a guy that you're interested in when you're out, like use your eye contact. It's really key because if a guy's looking at you and he holds your eye contact, then you know there's reason to approach him. If he looks at you and then looks away, then don't do it.
Yeah, for sure.
So the eyes are really important too.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, like guys are also scared because there's been so many times where I've had eye contact with someone or just seen someone somewhere, and then it's been like 5 times before something's finally happened, and they've said to me, "Oh, I wanted to approach you that first day, but I was scared." Yeah. It's like guys can also be scared. Like they're not this big. Like they might look big and tough, but they're not.
Yeah, agree.
So hope that answers your question. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, practice.
So I guess that kind of with the whole masculine feminine energy, that kind of takes us on to the next question, which is about like who should pay for a date, because this is something that everyone has such a different opinion on. Some girls are like, no, split it. Some girls are like, no, he should pay. Some girls are like, they'll pay. What do you think?
Well, to start with, I don't believe that you should leave your house without enough money to cover your costs of going out and getting home. Yeah. So that's to start with.
I agree.
However, and like I've kind of been raised to pay for myself, so I struggle with this too. But I think it is really lovely when a man pays, and it shows that he's, you know, he's appreciative of the time that you've taken out of your life to go and see him. And it shows that he was raised well. However, I also think the woman should offer, and that shows that she was raised well. And I think the perfect kind of combination of that is if a man pays for the first thing, like dinner, and then afterwards the woman pays for whatever's next, dessert or drinks or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the perfect signs of a man showing effort and a little bit of interest, and then the woman showing that she's a team player. Because what the second thing does of the woman paying for the next thing is that, you know, she's not there to take advantage of the guy. She's a team player, and she's also a little bit interested in spending time with him too. Yeah, and she values him. So I think it's, important to have both.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's also very, like, very, very individual. Like, some guys, they will literally get offended if you offer to pay. Like, no, of course not. Like, I will 100% pick up the bill. Yeah.
Say thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Like that Canadian friend I have, for example, like when I tried to pay for his coffee once, and he was so embarrassed. Like, he's like, no, like, you can't do that. Like, no, like, that makes me feel really bad. Because he was raised to, like, look after women, basically. Yeah. Which is, I mean, everyone can have a different opinion about this, but I personally would like a guy to pay for the first. Like, if he didn't offer to pay, I'd be like, no, he's
if I'm being honest, I'm with you. I agree with you, totally.
Splitting the bill is the worst. Like, I would rather pay the bill myself than split it.
Yeah, and a lot of women that I know pretty much say, if a guy gets me to split the bill, I'm not having sex. Like,
I would be no.
I'm not seeing him again. Sorry, I should have said. Yeah, it's not about sex. I'm not even seeing him again.
Yeah. Oh God, no. I've been in a situation before, and I've been like, the guy's been like, oh, do you want to just like split it? And no, I would rather just pay for it. Like, I just think, like, maybe when you're 15 years old, you can split it, but we all have jobs now. We should all be able to pay for another person to go for dinner. Yeah. Like, it shouldn't, like, break the bank, you know?
And it just does tend to be unattractive.
Oh, God. I think for me, it's like, it's a huge turn off. Huge. Yeah. But then, like you said, I'm so happy to pay for the next dinner or drinks after or dessert or whatever it is. Yeah. But just, like, that first date, I definitely want the man to pay for sure.
Yeah, and I always do offer too. It's not like I just sit there and like, bye-bye.
I do that. I'm like, no, especially if they ask me out. I'm like, if you ask me out, then you freaking pay.
I need to be better at this.
Yeah, like, no. That's just, I mean, I guess it's just like, shows what you want in a relationship. Yeah. Like, from the start, I'm like, I can look after myself, but I want a man who I know can support me if something would happen that I couldn't work anymore. Yeah. So, but I mean, everyone's so different. Like, I know so many girls who loves paying as well, and who thinks it should be equal, who'd rather split it and stuff like that. Like, it's just everyone's personal preference, I guess.
It's so funny. It's just really different again in Australia, because obviously things are a lot more expensive in Australia. So when I asked this question as a poll, like, so many women said, like, no, half. But here...
Really?
Yeah. Wow. But here, like, it's easy for a guy to pay for things.
Oh, my God. If they can't pay here, it's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. So context is key. But, yeah, I agree. Guy should pay for the first date. Woman can pick up something along the way.
Yeah, like, don't you want to impress her?
Exactly. It's about making a great impression.
Yeah, no, I definitely think so. But, yeah, I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, right?
Agree.
And one time I went on a date with a guy who, this was in Australia. I don't know, maybe, like, it has been, every guy that I've been on a date with from the UK, they've always been like, I'm paying, like, don't even think about it. Mm-hmm. But Aussie guys that I've been on dates with have been a bit more like, don't really know. Facts. So maybe it's like a, what's it called, like, cultural kind of thing or something. But anyway, I went on a date with this guy in Australia, and we just got coffees, and he literally went up and, like, he was gonna pay for his, and then I was behind him to order mine, and I was like, no, I will just pay for both of these coffees. They're freaking $4 each. Yeah, like, this is ridiculous. Like, I would have done the same thing for a friend. Like,
I agree. There's something not quite right about Australian men sometimes. Bless you.
Sorry.
We love you, but get it together.
No, there's loads of good ones there as well,
Of
but
course.
there's so many. Yeah, maybe it's just we haven't had bad experiences. Prove us wrong. Prove us wrong.
Exactly.
Please, slide into our DMs. We're both single. All right. What other questions did I have here? Oh yeah, dating apps. This is such a freaking hard thing. Like, first of all, what do you think of dating apps? Do you think that because some people are like, oh, they ruin dating, like it's so bad, like you're never gonna meet someone that you actually like in a dating app, it's just like a hookup, blah blah blah. What's your opinion?
I think dating apps are very clever pieces of technology that humans kind of have ruined, along with most other things that we ruin. Like, you got to remember that it's humans behind the dating apps that are doing the connection. It's not actually the app's fault that we're fucking each other around. So that's what I think about them in a literal sense. But I do think, look, they are very clever. You do get a chance to like see and potentially match with people that you won't ever meet out. However, I do think that it is much nicer to meet people in an organic setting. There are people that I have met in different parts of Australia and over here that if I saw them on a dating app, I wouldn't swipe right. But because I've met them in person and something has stood out about their character or their features or a discussion that we've had, I've ended up giving them a chance and then continue to see them for a little bit. And that's what dating apps don't have. They don't show your overall character and personality. It's mostly just aesthetics.
Plus, guys take shit photos.
Guys take shit photos and a lot of them have shit chat. And also, because of this tunnel vision thing that we were just talking about, they don't have this ability to multitask and check all their apps and do all their admin like women can. Yeah, and we can do our Bumble and Hinge admin for like 13 minutes in the morning and we're done. Yeah. Guys are like, oh, sorry, I didn't get back to you for 6 days. I haven't checked the app. And they're probably not lying.
Yeah, that's so true. And God, the amount of times where you've met someone in real life and then you see them on the app and you're like, what? That? Like, God, I would never match with them. Ever. Like, I don't know what it is, but I guess girls are the opposite. They look prettier, like, on the apps. Yeah. Well, not all of them, of course, but there's been so many guys that I've seen in real life. Like, even just the other day, someone, like, that I matched with ran past me on the beach, and I was like, fit. And then I was like, why did I never write back to him? And then I just like, oh, hello.
This is actually a really good point, because I think we go onto dating apps and we're really picky when actually we need to do the opposite on dating apps. We need to cast the net wider and choose guys you might not necessarily go for in real life, because they are pretty crap at pulling their profiles together and they are kind of crap with their photos. So it's kind of better to give it more of a chance on dating apps.
Yeah. And with the whole, like, the bio thing as well, like, what's your opinion about that? Because some guys are so, like, they're like, you should not go out with me if you're boring. It's too, like, my most controversial opinion is pineapple on pizza. And it's like,
fuck that. Ugh. The bio and your prompts are the most important parts of your dating app profile, because that's what gives somebody else insight into your character and how, like, you might be unique or interesting or intelligent or whatever it is, like your weird taste in music or your ability to cook. That's what gives someone insight, but it's also what prompts somebody else to respond to. Yeah. You want to make it as easy as you can for somebody to pick up a prompt and be like, oh, what, like, where did you learn to cook that? Or, like, how was Tuscany? Whatever it is. But, yeah, you shouldn't sleep on the prompts, and men and women actually tend to be bad at pulling their dating profiles together. But definitely, yeah, spend some time curating it properly, for sure. If you want to actually make connections and go on dates, then make sure you're putting your best foot forward.
Yeah, for sure. I think that most people spend way more time picking the photos, and then on the prompts it's kind of like even on Hinge especially, sometimes it's just like they just put an X there just because you have to put something in there. Yeah. It's like, why would I bother to go on a date with you if you can't even bother writing two sentences for a question?
Yeah. I'd rather someone say, like, rather than someone say something beige like pineapple doesn't belong on pizza. I'd rather them say something actually really ballsy or provocative.
Yeah, 100%.
Than being super boring.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I've turned guys down because their prompts or bio or whatever dating app has been so boring, and I've also matched with guys. Their photos have been but their prompts or bio has been so good.
Same. If there's something that is really like, because it's easy if they've said something really specific or provocative or something that almost annoys you, you want to respond.
Yeah,
and you want to match with them. So I think it's super, super important. And I mean, obviously, get the photos in line too.
Yeah, God, no group photos and sunglasses
no
photos.
No group photos.
The fish.
No fish, no sunglasses. What are the other? Oh, you've got to show a range of photos. Like, you can't just have.
Yeah, what should a girl put on? Because it's mostly girl listeners. What kind of photos should you put up?
Okay, so in your dating profile, you want to have a range of photos that show like different aspects of your personality. Say there might be one of you at the beach. There might be one of you going to a wedding because you look gorgeous. There might be one of you at brunch. Or there might be one of you studying or whatever it is, but it shows like different components of your personality. And what else am I going to say? Don't put professional shots up. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, I think react to that as well.
I mean professional shots by like business headshots. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So no business headshots.
Yeah.
Not all selfies. Like, you want to have something that's different, might show like your whole body ideally.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Nothing with a toilet in the background, please.
The toilet selfie,
yeah. And what else? Like wearing a different range of clothing, but also photos where you look happy.
Yeah.
And look like you're enjoying yourself, because people want to match with happy people.
Yeah, for sure. And like also like kind of like candid stuff. Like you just like laughing, not just like you said, not just like selfies and just like perfectly filtered photos. It's just like I look so good every single photo. Like I think from my profiles, the photos that get the most like likes are like when I'm training in the gym or when I'm like eating a burger or stuff like that. Like people are like, oh my god, I love a person who eats a burger or stuff like that.
Yeah. And guys will, without knowing it, they will like that kind of different candid stuff. Like, I don't think they know that on a conscious level, but subconsciously. Because, I mean, that gives them a reason to respond to you as well. You're eating a burger, or you're in the gym. Like, what gym do you train at? Oh, like, I love burgers. Where's that from? Yeah.
Basically, make it as easy as possible.
Make it as easy as possible and make it as interesting as possible.
Yeah, for sure. Well, there you go. Some great dating tips. I'm going to go and change my profile now.
Yeah, actually, I have to do mine's not that great, which is funny.
Do you update your profile a lot, or do you just create it and then leave it?
Not really. My profile's okay, but I actually do sessions where I give specifically dating app profile advice. So I can speak to you for a bit and then take your profile and your photos, or you can give me some photos and then I can revamp it for you, help you to revamp it.
Oh, well, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. The last question we have from the listeners, then I want to ask you a little bit about how you actually work with your clients. But the last one was about ghosting. So I'm sure every person would have been in this situation when you've, like, I'm not talking about matching on Tinder and then like talking for a little bit and then not hearing about them. Like, that's kind of, I don't really, like, that is what it is. But if you've been on like a date, 2 dates, maybe even 3 dates, and then all of a sudden the guy just like how do you deal with that? Like, what should you do?
Yeah, it's horrible and it's hurtful and it's normal to feel sad or angry. But I think the most important thing to realize is that if somebody ghosts you, what it is saying about them is either, or maybe even both, that they don't respect you or your time enough to respond, or they don't value the connection or the time that they spent with you. And the second thing is they could just be so bad at communicating and they're not able to communicate how they feel or what they want from the situation to you.
Yes.
And for both of those reasons, we want nothing to do with them.
Yeah, so true.
So as shitty as it is and as bad as it feels and as much as you want to try and work out what happened, because I understand, I do this too, you have to see the ghosting as kind of a positive. It's just kind of redirected you away from that person that A, doesn't value you, and B, can't communicate.
Yeah, so true. And I think that we tend to get stuck on the first one. It's like, oh, he's just so respectless and doesn't value my time and he's a dick, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, yes, that can also be true, but I think it's so common that they're just terrible at communicating, and like guys have anxiety too.
Yeah.
It's not just us. And like I've even had this happen when guys have ghosted me, and then like a few months later they're like, I'm so sorry, I didn't tell you, I was just like in a really bad place at the time, work was so busy, or I was going through something and I didn't know how to tell you.
Yeah. It is really frustrating because as women we know that all we need to hear is I really can't do this at the moment because something is going on. But guys, a lot of them just can't tell you, or they won't. And I just want to shake them. Trust me, I'm out here trying to tell guys that that's not the way that they should operate.
Yeah, but it's also like I get it, because it's also like something I'm really working on is communicating. Yeah, I would much rather ghost because it gives me so much anxiety knowing that I'm gonna hurt someone.
Right.
But then it happens to me as well, and I'm like, ah. So for example, this guy that I was seeing a little bit before I went to Bondi, he's reaching out to me constantly, and I've just been like making up excuses to why I can't see him. Yeah. And it wasn't until today that I was like, look, it's actually not going to happen. Yeah. But so I can totally relate to these guys. Yeah. Even though I hate when it happens to me, I'm like, oh, you prick.
Yeah. I think it's only natural to like kind of give an excuse once or twice, but then I think it's really important just to be like, look, I really enjoy getting to know you and spending time with you, but at the moment I really can't commit to something. Or if you want to be even more honest, I don't feel that there's that kind of romantic connection between us. Yeah. That's it. Wrap it up nice and tight, and then they can respond well and just say thank you for letting me know, or they can be a dick about it.
Yeah, I've had both happen.
Yeah. But you have done the right thing by letting them know, and that's what you would want on the flip side. Yeah, for sure. I think that's the most important thing, just putting it back to yourself. Like, okay, what would you want to be said right now? Like, you would, even though it would hurt at the moment, it feels so much better knowing that, you know what, this guy is not going to talk to me again, or telling that guy or girl, or, you know, whatever you're into, and that you're not going to see them again. Like, it's hard for like 5 minutes, but then it's going to go away. I mean, this happened to me this week. Yeah. A guy stood me, he didn't stand me up. He cancelled on me 30 minutes before I was meant to meet him. And then the next day I got a text from him saying, I'm just going to be honest with you, I've got a lot going on. I'm not going to be able to spend any time with you for the next 3 weeks or whatever. And of course I was like, is this true? Is he talking shit? You know, your ego's a little bit hurt. But in the end, I appreciated it because I could write back and be like, cool, totally understand. Nice to meet you. And it feels much better to have that sense of clarity. Totally. Yeah. And I think like now hopefully that is true. Like obviously you want to think the best of people. Yeah. And if that is the case, then I think it's so good of him that he did that. Yeah. Because so many people would have just ghosted because you've only met like once before. Yeah, exactly. So it's not like you know this person really well, and like a lot of people would just been like, can't, busy. Yeah. Goodbye, basically. I've had less from more. I'll say that. Totally. So I think that speaks like very highly of him to be like, I'm actually really busy. And then if you do get one of those messages, I think the way that you respond to it is actually important too, because I could have said like, fuck you, you know, you stood me up like 30 minutes, like I was about to walk out the door, blah, blah, blah. Which is probably like, the immediate reaction that you have. Yeah. But I just wrote back and said, cool, OG, I understand. And then he came back with, thank you for being so understanding. So there's no harm done there. There's no like unnecessary tension or hatred created between the two sexes. Yeah, yeah. And that's really good of you to write that, because I can imagine that you would have been like, yeah. But I do, in the end, I do have respect for the communication and the honesty, even if it's not what you want to hear. Yeah, and it is annoying, like, especially if, like, you know, you've gone ready for a date and put makeup on, a nice dress, and have expectations. Yeah. And, yeah, no, it is annoying, but yeah, I guess that's when you just have to take it back a bit. It's like, hang on, what's the actual, like, it was a good answer and not just me being reactive. Yeah, exactly. And I think, yeah, that's where we struggle in dating, is that we tend to emotionally react very quickly. Oh God, yeah, yes, 100%. Working on progress. Definitely.
So with the people that you work with, like how does that work? Is it like couples or is it like one-on-one or?
At the moment, one-on-one. I have been able to coach clients that are in relationships or in the process of trying to end a relationship or trying to get back together. So deeper kind of marriage stuff. But for the most part, it is one-on-one, and it's needs-based. So it's an introductory session, which is like 90 minutes of getting to know each other. Every new client will fill out a form, and there's always, when people come to me, there's always something quite specific. So I use that form to give me some information, and then I can go and prep for them and really like dive deeper into the issue that they want to talk about. And then if it's something if it's like a smaller issue where it's like, okay, a guy cancelled on me or he ghosted me or whatever, like, can you help me out? Then I'll do like a really quick 30-minute power session with them, and I can kind of like unwrangle their issues quite quickly. But yeah, if it's somebody that's wanting to go deeper on a bigger issue around a relationship or heartbreak or getting over that, and then they want to continue to learn to understand about themselves in connections, so what their attachment types might be, what their love languages are, and how they can put their best foot forward in dating and relationships, and that's your kind of longer sessions.
Wow. Yeah. So what's the most common problem that your clients have?
There's a lot of heartbreak.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, there's a lot of heartbreak. And it's like, I actually have quite a lot of male clients.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good. I'm so like, 'cause I feel like a lot of guys are so like, they don't want to be a victim. It's like, oh, therapy is stupid. Like,
yeah, I have quite a lot of male
that.
clients, and some of them are kind of just like, it's really basic stuff. I mean, no offense to them. It's quite basic stuff. They'll come to me and they'll be like, I kind of like this girl, we're friends or this or that, but she did this and then I did this and I did this. And I'm like, okay, it's been 6 weeks. Have you asked her out yet? So it's this kind of like, men seem to, like I said before, they're very focused on what they're doing, their career, their passion, whatever, that they start to learn about themselves and develop self-awareness and what they want from other people a lot later than women. So they can be older and still asking these kind of more rudimentary questions.
Yeah.
Like, how do I understand a woman? How do I talk to a woman? So,
wow.
Yeah, men are a little bit further behind women.
Yeah, well, I mean, they are, right? Was it like 5 years or something like that? I don't know. I can't remember. But there was some country, I can't remember which country it was, but they were gonna, the kids, boys were gonna start school a year later than the girl, but then in the same class.
Yeah.
And I can make, the class below. So like a guy would always be a year older than the girls.
Yeah. Okay.
And it makes sense because like guys do mature a bit slower than girls. That's just, that's nothing against guys. It's just how it is.
Yeah. I find actually it's funny, like, male clients kind of come to me and they're like, they listen to me and they're like, wow, like penny drop. Yeah. Women come and women have already spoken to 8 of their girlfriends about the issue. So they already have an opinion. You have to spend more time being like, okay, well, let's just think about it this way.
Yeah.
But guys, they just learn later.
Yeah. Oh, that you made such a good point there, because girls will always just like ask all of the girlfriends, like, what should I do? And like the best advice my therapist told me was, everyone will only give you advice based on their own experiences. Yes. So like that friend hates men at the moment. She's gonna say that every guy's a dickhead. That girl loves men, thinks that they're amazing, has an amazing partner, so she's gonna see the best in every single person.
Yep.
So like, if you have any like problems with dating, guys, relationships,
go to
anything,
somebody else.
Go to a fucking professional. Like,
go to me.
Yeah, go to Jess. Like, don't talk. Like, yeah, of course you can vent to your friends, but like, the worst thing you can do is like follow everyone else's advice.
Yeah, I learned this again and again and again. I've known it for quite a while, but when you're getting older and you have people that in your lives that are in relationships, or they have babies or whatever else, they give you advice based on exactly where they are. They give you advice based on, well, their idea of the perfect life is marriage and a baby, but they don't take into consideration that my life might not be that. So it's always going to, where they are is always going to shape their advice. And that's just not it. You have to understand if that advice is for you, which almost negates getting advice anyway.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just like when you don't trust yourself.
Yeah.
You just go to everyone else for advice because you don't trust the gut feeling. But then most of the time I feel like you end up going with your gut feeling anyway.
Yep.
Well, that's what you should do, because that's what's going to feel right for you at the end.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
We've gone for an hour now.
Oh,
I know.
That was so quick.
I know. I was like, oh my gosh. It's always like this, though, especially when you have like good conversation and we talk about guys dating all day. But before we go, do you want to give yourself a little plug? Are you taking on new clients? Where can people find you?
Yes, I am taking on new clients. You can find me at the Boy Detox Instagram, or my website, which is www.theboydetox.com. I'm also in the process of developing the Boy Detox into a program, which is quite cool. Yeah, so you can detox from men or from whatever it is you need to detox from with me.
Oh, that's so good. I didn't actually know that. Well, obviously, just put the mic away. Obviously, we'll link all your handles and stuff in the show notes, so you guys can just like scroll down and click there if you want to reach out to Jess and get some advice.
Please do.
And for guys as well, I actually didn't even know that. I thought you were just working with girls, so that's perfect.
No, I love male clients too, so come on through.
Would you ever work with like a couple?
Yes.
There you go. If you're with someone, go to Jess. Amazing. Well, thank you so much again for coming on. Jess and I are having a goddess day. Like, all of my clients are going to know this. Like, Fridays is goddess day. You just like treat yourself. We just went and had our hair washed, so we look so nice. We have like a little beach club we're going to go to tonight. It's just, goddess day Fridays is the thing, guys. Get on it. But yeah, thank you again so much for coming on. And guys, welcome. As usual, if you like this podcast, which I know you're going to, make sure you do take a screenshot. You tag myself, tag Jess, tag Women's Fitness Academy. Let us know what you thought. Let us know your takeaways. Like, God, let us know if you have like a dating story or anything like that.
Slide into my DMs. I live for it.
Yeah, and also, if you're not, like, even if you're not going to work with her, you should definitely follow her, because the dating stories, like...
Oh, yeah, the Bali dating diaries.
Oh, my God.
Popping off.
It's honestly, every day I go onto your page, I'm like, how do you get yourself in these situations? Like, it's mad. Anyway, it's so fun. So, yeah, definitely make sure you follow Jess. And, if you're coming to the retreat in the Education in July, please let me know. I would love to get a face to who's coming and how long you're staying for. So, thanks everyone for listening, or if you're watching. And thanks, Jess. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.